should have been fighting for our land. Now we fighting for the man. Just go right into their plan. And I'm sick of this. It's ridiculous how the government is such hypocrites. They make the laws, then break the laws. How serious should I take the laws? My blood, I take the laws. This family first, worst come to worst, and I die for mine. Me and my niggas, we charged up like alkaline. We strapped up like Columbine. When it's wartime, I'm on the front line. Facts life, I'm acting like I was born again. It's the afterlife.
No one knows because they tried to keep it on the low from all my folks because they folk. So I'ma kill them with the flow. Blinded by the dough, we can't see clearly through the smoke. They'd rather see us on that troll, locked up, they're buried in a hole. They wanna see us grow because they can't go toe to toe, but I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow. Try to stop our glow, but they cannot achieve their goal, so I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow. Check it, get your life right, cause this the last call. Christ coming back and he's gonna judge us all. It can happen while you shopping, walk around the mall. Where you from, where you at, Babylon will fall. Lose your head by the sword, all obey his Lord. You hear them drum beats? We in the midst of war, but it's a holy one. I speak the holy tongue. Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shabbarakatum. I got the most high power, I ain't need a gun. I'll be out here repping till his kingdom come. His bread's for the children, you can't get a crumb. Yeah, they hear me, they ain't feeling where I'm coming from. But lottie-dottie, fuck everybody from the Catholic Church to Illuminati. Christ coming back, now the Anunnaki trying to warn the people, but they tried to knock me. What you thought that I wasn't gonna throw my voice in? Fuck all of y'all, white Jesus poison. No one knows because they tried to keep it on the low from all my folks because they folk. So I'ma kill them with the flow. Blinded by the dough, we can't see clearly through the smoke. They'd rather see us on that troll, locked up, they're buried in a hole. They wanna see us grow because they can't go toe to toe, but I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow. Try to stop our glow, but they cannot achieve their goal, so I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow.
You got a part
because they try to keep it on the low from all my folks because they go. So I'm
Second Ezra is 50. Second Ezra is 6.
They'd rather see us on that troll, locked up, they're buried in a hole. They wanna see us grow because they can't go toe to toe, but I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow. Try to stop our glow, but they cannot achieve their goal, so I can feel it in my soul. They gon' be reaping what they sow.
Ow!
Mm-hmm. You're having that dream where you made the white people riot, weren't you?
But I was telling the truth.
How many times?
Let me know when you got that. I got it. Hey, Shalom, Israel. This is Priest and Officer Walker Bar. This is Wednesday night Law and Scripture Breakdown class, Law and History class. We're going to go into dreadlocks. A lot of our people like to talk about, or feel as though they're very connected to their heritage and they're very natural when they put dreadlocks in their hair, right? Also, we're going to go over, I got a video with some Somalis saying that they are not black and saying that just because they're all from Africa, they are not, doesn't mean that everybody is the same. Something that we've been trying to educate black and Hispanic people for the longest, and the white man, that we are not the same, right? When it comes to, people who are dark-skinned, and because we came from West Africa, does not mean that everybody is the same and we're just in a boat with Africans, because we're not, and many people across the earth understand this. And I'll even show you in ancient times that they understood that. They understood. Well, I like to use Egypt as the example because the Egyptians is something that black people in America idolize, and that's the first thing that we think we are whenever we're trying to be, deep or historical or connect ourselves to some type of heritage. We initially will connect ourselves to Egyptians. We see that gold, we see the pyramids, we see the royalty, and that is something that is it gives us a boost of confidence to think that we was pharaohs or kings and queens. When in reality, man, when it comes to ancient Egypt, the only people that were pharaohs was the ruling class.
Right.
Everybody else was regular commoners and peasants. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so we're going to get into that. And I wasn't here last week, but the week before, there were some precepts that I had left out when we went over who is Esau, who's the so-called white man, right? Matter of fact, We went over the son of perdition, right? There had to be a falling away first. We did go over that one. If you could give me Job, what is it? Job 9:24, I believe. Job 9:24.
You want to hear it?
Huh?
You want to hear it?
I'm pretty sure that's the precept. Job 9:24.
I got it.
Go ahead and start.
The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. For a long time, the earth has been in the hand of a certain group of people. The earth is not given into the hands of the righteous. You understand? If the earth was given into the hands of righteous, there would be no wars. There would be no rumors of wars. Everything to get dealt out equally and fair. There would be no unfairness in the world. There would be no people on top and people on the bottom. There will be no people, the people that, are rich and steal and take from the poor. It would be none of that if the earth was given into the hand of the righteous, right? Go ahead.
He covered the face of the judges thereof.
He covered the face of the judges thereof. Keep reading. I'm gonna break that down.
If not, where and who is he?
And this precept is being sarcastic. If the earth isn't given into the hand of the wicked, if not where, then who is he? So it's like presenting a riddle to you, and it's very easy to solve. All you got to do is just look at the earth and see who runs the earth, who runs the planet Earth. A lot of times people like to be dumb and say, such and such run it, or these people run it. No, there's one group of people that run the planet Earth throughout. No matter if they're European, no matter if they're American, no matter if they're Australian, no matter it doesn't matter if they're Spanish. It's one group of people, and they all derive from their forefather, who was Esau. It's the so-called white race. At this point, at this disposition in time, there is one race that runs the world. Read it from the top.
The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24.
A lot of people will say, in order to, and this is black people, in order to say that it's not talking about the white man, they'll say it's talking about the Saudi Arabians. It's talking about the Arabs. Well, the Arabs don't run the world. Yeah, they're super rich. Super rich. They got Dubai and all of that, but they don't run the earth. You know who runs the earth? The people with air superiority. That's who runs the earth. The people who have military bases in every country are surrounding every other land. That's the people who have control. And the people who are the world policemen, that's who runs the earth. Well, who is it? I'll let you think about that. Go ahead.
The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
And he covered the faces of the judges thereof. Who are the judges thereof that it's talking about? Who are the judges of the earth? The judges of the earth are the Israelites, the prophets of God, the angels, the Most High, Christ and the Most High. These are the judges of the earth. And he covered the faces of the judges of the earth. When did he do that? He did that in the Renaissance period. He covered up, they call it iconoclasm or whitewashing. He covered up the faces of black people. He knocked off the noses of black people. And this is just not when it comes to icons and statues of Israelites. This is when it comes to other dark nations. When white people came into power, anything that had a resemblance of being of Negroid characteristics or phenotype, they knocked the nose off. You can go research this. Go look up ancient Egyptians. Go look up ancient Moabites. Go look up ancient Europe, the Romans and the Greeks. You'll find noses knocked off. Although these people were not Israelites, they still were a dark-skinned people. But when white people rose to power during the Renaissance period after the Dark Ages, which was a time when black people, Israelites, and other black groups ruled Europe for more than 1,000 years, when they got back into power, what they did was they rewrote history. They covered up the greatest people on the planet Earth, the Israelites, the faces thereof of the judges, of the people that have law, statute, and commandments, the people that have a sense of dignity, the people that have laws on what you can eat and what you can't eat, the people that have laws on who you can sleep with and who you can't sleep with, the people that would be looked at as a wise and understanding people.
Right.
These people they covered the faces of through painting over the paintings, trying to make them white. But you know, with so many Russian icons, because black people ruled, they couldn't burn and destroy all of them. So the ones they couldn't destroy, what they did was they just try to paint over and make it look like it was a white person. You understand? To make you think in your mind that he's the people of God and that God looks like him.
Right.
Keep reading.
If not, where and who is he?
And it says that, okay, if the white man ain't the devil, if he's not the wicked, if the earth is not given into his hand, if he's not that, then who and where is he?
Right.
What other people can you say have done this? You can't find another people that have done this.
Right.
You can't find another people that dropped the atomic bomb, fire from earth, from heaven, and killed 50,000 people in one day. You can't find another people that have air superiority. You can't find another people that claim to have gone to the moon first. You can't find them.
Right.
You can't find another people that in every church you go to, there is an image of a white Christ. There's an image of a white God. There's an image of white little big-headed angels that look like Cupid. You can't find another people. There is only one group of people, right? And that is Esau, or who we know today is the so-called white man, the Edomites, the Caucasian, the white race. They all derive from the same lineage. All right, you can drop that. Give me what I want. Second Ezra. Excuse me.
The book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
So the Bible says that we all come of Adam. Many people will say that when, they'll say that in defense of Christianity, that we're all brothers. We all bleed red. We all come from Adam. Every group, every human has the same ancestor, right? Which we can all agree on. That's agreeable. Keep reading.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen, verse 55.
And it says that you got to catch that. That was slipped up in there. And the people who thou hast also chosen. Everyone comes from Adam, but the Lord chose a certain people. So there's a separation there. It's not equality. It's not a level playing field. It's not equality, right? Go ahead.
Verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
The world, we just read about, he covered the faces of the judges thereof, right? And now we're hearing that the Lord made the world for our sakes. This whole world was made for the sakes of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
For the people that God had chose through the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Although there were many lineages, this lineage, this heritage, these people, the Lord chose. He chose these people to himself to be a special people. Go ahead.
Verse 56. As for the other people.
Hold up. As for the other people.
As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
As for the other people that also come of Adam, the Lord has said they are nothing. You know, the Lord considered non-Israelites beasts of the field. He compares them to dogs. What's the parable? The precept when the woman came to Christ for her daughter to be healed, and the disciple said, "Send her away." And he said, "It's not meat, meaning it's not good to give the bread. I'm messing it up, but it's not good to give the healing." I'm giving you the real breakdown. It's not good to give the teaching and the healing to another nation, to a nation of dogs. And he said it dogs with an S. I'm paraphrasing. But like she comes from a nation of dogs. Just say dog, like she's a dog, dogs with an S, right? Also in Exodus, 11, Exodus 7 and 11, or 11 and 7, one of them. We'll get to it. He also says, shall not a dog raise his tongue against the children of Israel? That you should know that he's made a difference between the Israelites and the Egyptians. We're going to read that one too. But the Lord looks at these people as like heathens, as like they're nothing. Read that part again. Young man Jay, Most High in Christ, I see you in your bag. So you put 1 Maccabees 3 and 48. We'll get that too. That's an excellent precept to go with what I was just talking about.
Verse 56, as for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
The Lord said they are nothing. And in your Christian Catholic mind, you can't imagine why the Lord is saying that other people are nothing when you've been taught your whole life about this big family of humanity under Christ. We're all brothers and sisters under Christ. We all bleed red, and we're all humans, and we all come from Adam. But now you're hearing that the Lord said these other people that are not his people are nothing. They mean nothing to him. Go ahead.
But be like unto spittle.
But they be unto like spittle. Meaning they be like when you're talking and a little piece of spit come out your mouth. That's how the Lord look at these other nations. You understand? Not like just spit, but spittle, like something comes out the side of your mouth. Disgusting. That's how when somebody spits on somebody, that is like one of the highest crimes against humanity you can do. You spit on somebody and they're gonna try to knock your block off. You spit on a police officer, you spit on a regular person, they're gonna try to stomp you into the ground. That's like the most disgusting thing you can do, like, face to face when you getting into it with somebody. And the Lord looks at these other nations like spit. Disgusting. Like they're nothing to him. Is that what? Go ahead. I might have said what else it said. Go ahead.
And has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
He likened the abundance of them is like a drop that falleth from a vessel. You got a cup of water. You got a bottle of water, you drink it, some of it splash out and fall on the ground. You're not trying to get that drop of water off the ground. You don't give a damn.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, it's nothing. That's how he looks at these other people, right? You can drop that. Give me 1 Maccabees 3 and 48. 1 Maccabees 3 and 48. Then I'm gonna get that video in.
3 and 48.
Con.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48. And laid upon the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
The heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images. They sought to paint. Look, this is not, you thought that I was just saying something out the side of my mouth. This is in the scriptures. What I just said about what they did with the icons, with those icons in Europe, it wasn't just Russia. The icons are all over Europe, right? But the majority of them was found in Russia that survived. And what they would do is they would literally take, substances and try to lighten the paint and make the skin tone look lighter. And then what they also did was there's pictures of this where they're literally painting over the black images and painting them white, painting them pale, so that you can look in so that they could have an identity, right, so that they could be proud and have a lineage. And so you can look at them like their God, right? And this during the time when you had no power. This during the time during the Spanish Inquisition, when they expelled all the Jews out of Spain, out of Europe, and they went into the north interior of Africa. This is during that time when we were cast out of Jerusalem and we went through the interiors of Africa, from Egypt on down to the area of Chad, on down to the area of the Congo, to the area of Nigeria, the area of Senegal, we had settlements, Israelite settlements, where Israelites lived throughout Africa, right? And during this time is when the time when the heathen painted the likeness of their images. They turned the angels black. They turned Christ black. I mean, I'm sorry, white. They turned the Most High white. They turned everything white, you understand, to look like them. Because you got to ask yourself, and this is what you'll ask somebody that tells you that it doesn't matter what color Christ is on the streets. What you say to them is like, if it doesn't matter, then why did they paint every image white? Right. Why did they paint Jesus Christ white? Why you can go in any church? Hell, you can go in black churches in the South, and there's a white Jesus up there on one of them damn stained glass windows. Right. You can, to this day, that's how powerful it was of them painting the likeness of themselves as these images in the book of the law, right? But just ask them, and then ask them, tell them to ponder this. You never seen an Asian Christ. You never seen an Arab Jesus Christ. You only seen a white Jesus Christ. So it did matter to somebody to paint themselves as Jesus Christ. So don't ever tell me, or don't ever let anybody tell you that it don't matter. It definitely matters when you steal. It's called identity theft. When you steal somebody's identity, and you act as though you're them, right? That's it on that, right? All right. So what I want to get, let's get Babylon from Timbuktu, right? Get this right here, page 84, and then first off, give me Amos 9 and 7. Amos 9 and 7. There's a lot of people that think that Ethiopians are Jews, right? They think that Ethiopians are Jews based on this scripture, but just based on the history that came throughout from the royal family with Haile Selassie. They say that he's from the line of King David. Supposedly King David had a relationship with the Queen of Sheba, which is not in the Bible, but supposedly their tradition is that he had a relationship and then a family derived from that. And that family, that royal line, had sons that they call, the line of Judah or whatever. But the Bible doesn't say that King David had a relationship with the Queen of Sheba of Ethiopia, right? So, but you do have a lot of people that believe, because there are practicing Ethiopian Jews today, that they are the children of Israel, when the Lord was always against the Ethiopians. If we could, what do I want? What do I want? Damn, do we got a Zondervan? We don't got a Zondervan here, all right? We'll pull it up so we can get an understanding of who the Ethiopians were in biblical times. So, if you could, what I give you first? Amos, yeah, give me that first.
The book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 7. Mm-hmm. Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me?
Now people take this and think that it's saying that we are the same as the Ethiopians. This is not what it is saying. Read it from the top.
Oh, God. The book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 7. Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me? O children of Israel, saith the Lord.
Is that it on it?
Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? Verse 8, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon thee, sinful kingdom. And I
don't know. I think that's not the one I wanted. I want the one where, does it say anything? Can a leopard change his spots? If you go up a little hit, no, it don't say. But people do take this and say what he's saying is that they're the same. We are not the same, right? But I need the one with the leopard. Can a leopard change his spots? It's like, I'll help you out. Bear with us. Jeremiah 13 and 23. So Lucky on that.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 13, verse 23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? That may ye also do good, that are accustomed to do evil?
He's saying, can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Can they change how they look? They can't. What you gotta understand is people have always, and I'm gonna get into it with this video where they talk about phenotypes. People have always, looked how they looked. And that's probably another conversation, but phenotypes are physical characteristics on how different nations look. Now, when it comes to the children of Israel, we have a lot, our phenotypes vary. Like, what the white man thinks is that we all have, wide nose and thick lips. But that's contrary to the truth. We can look a lot of different ways when it comes to, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We necessarily don't have one look or one hair texture, right? But when you look at these other nations, they do have one look. They do have, a phenotype that is the same throughout their people. You can look at them and say, that's the Ethiopian. You can look at the Arab and say, that's an Arab. You can look at the East Indian and say, that's an East Indian. You can look at a Nigerian and say, that is a Nigerian. That's a Hamite for sure, nigga. For sure. Look at his head. You can do those things because certain groups have phenotypes that cannot change, that don't change, have not changed for thousands of years since the beginning of time. If you could give me Zephaniah 2 and 12, and this will shut everything up about Ethiopians actually being Israelites or being Jews or being God's chosen people, because they're not. They're Hamites, and a Hamite could never be an Israelite. Zephaniah 2 and 12.
Okay. The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 12. Ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword.
The Lord said the Ethiopians shall be slain by his sword, right? So I thought Ethiopians were, God's chosen people.
Right.
I thought they were Hebrews, not according to the scriptures, not according to the prophet Zephaniah. You understand? If you could give me what I want. What did I say earlier? That was Exodus 11 and 7.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue.
There that word goes, shall not a dog move its tongue against the children of Israel, right? He compared these nations to dogs. Read it from the top.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast.
Against man or beast, meaning don't move your tongue. Don't say nothing negative about the Israelites or their animals.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
Can you see that on the screen? Read that last precept one more time.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
The Lord put a difference between the Egyptians and the Israelites, meaning he put a difference between Shem and Ham. Now, there's times in the Bible record where in Egypt, Israelite Joseph was mistaken for a Hamite. He was visor to the king. You had, I believe, the Apostle Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. Right? Did I say Joseph was mistaken for an Edomite earlier? No, a Hamite. Yeah, but Joseph was mistaken for an Egyptian, for a Hamite. Right? So what from the biblical record, we know that the Egyptians looked like Israelites, depending on, what they were wearing and the context of the place. People could mistake you for an Egyptian. So this is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is Ham out of the dictionary. I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor, meaning he became the father of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians. The Egyptians were known as Mizraim in the Bible. The Ethiopians were known as Cush in the Bible. The Libyans were, from what I understand, the Libyans were another Hamitic group. The Canaanites, they were South Africans. The Canaanites actually mixed with the Sea peoples, and they became what we know as the Phoenicians. Sea peoples from what is it? From the southern Italy in that peninsula, right? They mixed with Canaanites, and that became the Phoenicians, or the Philistines. I'm sorry, not the Phoenicians, but the Philistines. They became the Philistines. Where were we at? So when we talk about Ethiopians are Cush, right? There's another one. It's Put. Put would be today like Somalis and Eritreans. Put is not in here, but I believe it is it definitely is in the table of nations in Genesis chapter 10, right? So we just wanted to establish that we are not African, and we get a lot of pushback because we say we're not African, and Black people just can't understand why are we saying that. Like, they're like, you niggas is crazy. You are African. Like, why are you denying? What are you ashamed of? As though we're not ashamed. We're very proud to know that we're God's chosen people. We're the Israelites of the Bible. There's no shame, and when we say we're not African, it ain't no shame. It's just truth. It's just facts, right? And so I want to go into the Black image in the white mind. But before I do that, let me pull this video up real quick. Pull this video up.
So I get.
Go ahead.
When I looked up Phoenician, it's like showing like the people and stuff in their language. It's Hebrew. It's like,
yes. The Phoenician and Hebrew are very similar, right? It's just a few different. It's the only differences is like dialect, but Phoenician predates the ancient Hebrew. But they're like a brother and sister language, basically. Let me get this video. Presents. I might be stopping. It's not very long, but I may be stopping just to add in some commentary. Now this is just a debate with these are Somalis, and you got some different African groups, but the main group is Somalis. All right, Eastern Africa, East Africa. That's where Somalia is. Let's see if it pops up. Let's see if it's going to work.
Construct, which I believe it is. It's a racial construct. And as I said, the term Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid was invented by Europeans.
He said the term Negroid, Mongoloid, and Caucasoid was invented by Europeans. That idea of race, which is true. When you look at race or racism, the word racism was created by a white man. Racialism, right? So the whole idea of races, the way we think of them today, actually comes from white people, right? That's why it's so important for us to learn the Bible and learn that what is more important is our nationality and our culture and it's not connected to it's not connected to land, because the common thinking with people today is that wherever you're born at, that's your nationality. But we know that can't be true, because when an Asian man comes from Asia to America, it doesn't change the fact that he's Chinese. He's still Chinese. He's just in America. But so we got things mixed up. But this just shows you that Africans, even Africans that come from the continent of Africa, don't look at each other as the same. And we're going to get into it, right? 1 second. Let me mute up.
It was invented in the early 20th century. You must understand where everyone's coming from. So some people argue that they're black because our skin is dark, but then that's also problematic because Australian Aborigines, are they black? Southern Indians, are they black? Nice. Yeah.
So what he's saying right there makes sense. He said there's different colors of people in Africa, but look at the people, the Aborigines, or look at the East Indian people. They're all dark. Are they still black? So he's making a distinction. What he's trying to do is show them that just because you're dark doesn't mean that you're black, right? And in one part, I don't know if I got it here, but they don't subscribe to calling themselves black. They subscribe to calling themselves what they are. See, here in America, we say black. When somebody says black, we know you're talking about niggas. We know you're talking about us. And you know this too, that when Africans come, whether it be Nigerians or whoever, they don't say that they black. They say they Nigerian. They identify with who they are. They don't say they're American Nigerian. They say they Nigerian, point blank.
So what is black? That's the problem. We've got a different phenotype. We've got a different culture. We speak an Afro-Asiatic language. So there's so many differences. We are closer. We are closer. Us genetically, we are closer to the North Africans than the West Africans, and that's.
Now he just said there's so many different phenotypes. He said genetically we're closer to the North Africans. Remember, this is Somalia. We're closer to the North Africans than the West Africans. So they even make a separation between different African groups in Africa. Meanwhile, you niggas in America is saying that we all one big African family. You talking about Pan-Africanism, right? You want to go back to Africa. You want to go back to Ghana. You want to go back to your roots, to the motherland, because you African, when you don't even know who the hell you are. You will be an outcast. You go back to Africa. You will be looked at as an outcast or a people without a nation, a people without a home, because they know who they are, and they even separating themselves within Africa. And they reject the white man's education that tells you because you're just dark, you're the same people. Right. They reject that. He's rejecting it.
That's a fact. That's a
okay. Fine.
Fact.
Now,
do you
accept?
That's a fact.
Do you accept that Somalis, Eritreans?
It's true. E1B1 what happened? Started in North Africa and expanded to North Africa.
One second. Do you accept? Abdullah, listen. Answer your question. Do you accept that Somalis, Eritreans, and Ethiopians are collectively the most homogeneous group on the planet?
100%. 100%.
Do you?
Seems like it stopped, like it's loading or something. The point is that when it comes to, let me drop this down. When it comes to whether or not we're African, we're not African. When it comes to what you just seen, these Somalis, they don't believe they're the same as Africans on the same continent. Right. But you have Africans that actually believe that what we in America believe is that you came from Africa, you're dark-skinned, you're black, you're part of the African race, the African group. And this, he's telling, I was going to say this brother, this Somalian is telling them, no, even though we got different phenotypes, we got different colors, it doesn't mean that we're all the same. I'm not genetically connected to those people. I got a different culture. He said he had a different culture. He don't got the same culture as a Nigerian. And I just said earlier, y'all know I said earlier, Look at a Nigerian and you know he's a Nigerian. Look at a Ethiopian, you know he's an Ethiopian, right? Look at Nipsey Hussle. You didn't know at first he was a Eritrean, but you put Nipsey Hussle next to some Eritreans and you'll see that's his people. He looked just like his people. He grew up around Judites, got a Judite mentality in the hood, but he was a Hamite, right? Not to get off the point, but the point is that there's a difference between us. And if you could, I want you to read out of this book. This book is called The Black Image in the White Mind. I'm sure some of y'all know about it. Y'all seen it before. And we're going to go into it. And this book is dated between 1817 and 1914. And it has some of the some history on them researching skulls, craniology, right? Taking the skulls, because you know the white man is such a devil. In order for him to search things out, he has to dig bodies up. And to my appreciation, he dug the bodies up, right? He dug hundreds of Egyptian bodies up to research the skulls, research the DNA. Well, now they research the DNA. And of course, you know, here they had plenty of skulls for black people from slavery to look at. Go ahead and open it up to the tab where I marked it at. Yeah. And I want you to start on what page is the first page?
Page 7. Oh, this one right here?
Yeah, read the number out of the page.
It's page 74.
Uh-huh.
Out of The Black Image in the White Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Morton's Crania Americana was the result of years of colors of collecting and examining human skulls. As he gathered and studied the crania of different types of men, Morton became aware of the differences between white, Indian, and Negro skulls, and of the fact that the ancient crania from a given race did not seem to differ from those of their modern descendants.
Wait, so this man Morton, right, he was a craniologist, an archaeologist. He started to study and see the differences between white skulls and what was it, Negroid skulls and Mongoloid skulls or Indian skulls, right? He started seeing differences in the skulls. And then he said that when looked at the ancient skulls, they didn't vary much at all from the modern skulls, meaning there was no difference in the phenotype of the skull, on how the skull grew. There's certain characteristics when it comes to a skull that races have when you look at their cranial skulls, right? And he said they didn't change throughout the centuries. Even the modern ones were the same. Go ahead, keep reading.
Morton concluded that the races had always had the same physical characteristics and, by implication, the same mental qualities.
So this is during the time of scientific racism. So what he's trying to do is prove the superiority of the white race. But you're going to find out what he found out. Go ahead.
In the 1840s, Morton collaborated with George R. Glidden, an Egyptologist who provided him with mummy heads and information about the racial significance of Egyptian tomb inscriptions. In Crania Aegyptica, published in 1844, Morton pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes.
That the Egyptians were what?
Were not Negroes.
The Egyptians were not Negroes. The evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes at all, right? So, like, hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
Evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes, as abolitionists and colonizations had maintained, and that in fact blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America.
So that's super heavy. Read that. You got to read that again.
Evidence showed that Egyptians were not Negroes, as abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America.
So what they found out, the evidence showed, is that black people were relegated to the same servile position as in America as in ancient Egypt. That's what they realized. They realized that there were two different skulls. The Egyptians, their skull was one way, and then these other people, their skull was the other way. And these other people, right? They were black people in Egypt. They were slaves. And in America, they were slaves also. So the idea that, we were the Egyptians is garbage. From the biblical record, it tells you, that that we just read that the Lord made a difference between the Hebrews and the Egyptians, the Israelites and the Egyptians. Well, the white man in his evilness and in his way of being, trying to prove that he is the superior people by studying skulls, he found out that the Negroes were not Egyptian. He found out not only that, but the Negroes were slaves in Egypt, just like they were slaves in America.
Right.
Ain't that something? That's amazing. I thought the Bible wasn't real. I thought the Bible was, what they say, oh, you reading that fairy tale book. It's a book written by the white man. The white man didn't write it. Oh, so you think the white man is a prophet, huh? You think the white man is you think he's he can tell the future. He prophesies the destruction of ancient Egypt. He's that great in your mind. I mean, that's what you're saying when you say that the white man wrote the Bible, and you see things like this, and you see prophecies pass, and you mean to tell me he knows what's going to happen? I think not. Maybe you just get too damn high, right? So I think that's about it on that. I'm going to move away from that, and we're going to go into this dreadlock thing. I think I didn't send it. Let me send you this article real quick. You're going to be surprised. You're about to be surprised about these dreadlocks and this weed smoking. You're going to be you ain't going to believe it. Some of the things I've uncovered. Let me see. So I'll send it to you. Y'all bear with me. I'm just trying to get this article. All right, let me know when you got it. So, dreadlocks, dirty dreads. Now they try to what they do. They dye them. They talk about they not, they don't stink because you can wash them. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could try to wash my cornrows while they locked up, but I don't think it's gonna clean my hair that good. You know what I mean? I probably could put some fragrance in it, but it's still gonna be dirty and nasty deep down in the hair root. But yeah, black people, we think we so, we know everything, and we're so close to being natural, especially that natural movement. You've seen a lot of not just brothers but sisters dreading their hair up, getting dreadlocks, and saying they love their dreads. And I already know when you if you wear dreads, I already is looking at you like you're a weed. And 9 times out of 10, that assumption is correct. I already know what comes with it. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a grimy looking brother, you know what I'm saying, with one of those green and black and red beanie things on top of your dreadlock. Oh, good night. I already know you a Rastafari, right? You smoke hella ganja. But we're gonna go into it because a lot of people even they think that Christ had dreadlocks. They think John the Baptist, if they're depicted as black. Let me show you something. I'm gonna just do a Google search. Black Jesus, right? Black Jesus. You can type this in and go to your image search, right? You can do this on your phone. Let me share a screen share. Screen share. Black Jesus, right? Now look what pops up. You got dreadlocks. Look, this the one you always see right here. This nigga right here. This nigga right here with the dreadlocks. I don't know why when we think about John the Baptist, Christ, we think of dreadlocks. They had dreadlocks. This one is really blasphemy. They make Christ black with the Edomite hair, right? Christ again with dreadlocks. This is how black people envision Christ if he's black. He got to have some damn dreadlocks. And I don't understand that. Why do you got to have dreadlocks? We're going to go into where they get that from. They get that from Samson, from the story of Samson, right? So, did I give you a preset?
No, you sent me a link.
I sent you that article.
Is it the Indian people brought marijuana to Jamaica?
Yeah, and I want you to scroll down on that. How it got into Jamaica.
Bringing ganja to Jamaica.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Bringing ganja to Jamaica in the 1830s, after the United Kingdom had colonized India, Irish physician William Brooke O'Shag-Hennessy visited the Southeast Asian country to treat a cholera outbreak and learned about the Indians' people medicinal use of ganja.
So, around the 1930s, is that what it's saying?
1830.
The 1830s. I think it was around the Salakia. We gotta double check those dates, but around the early 1900s, I'll say to keep it safe, is that East Indian people started going to Jamaica. They started migrating to Jamaica, right? And with them, they brought their practices. East Indians worship their goddess named Shiva that you see here on the screen. And they grew their hair. They grow their hair as long as it can get and mat it into dreadlocks. This is where the dreadlocks come from. This is how dreadlocks got into Jamaica. After the Marcus Garvey movement, the Pan-African movement, you had people in different sections that started the Rastafarian thing. And they took different parts of the Bible, and they took from the East Indians, and they took, from different cultures to create Rastafarianism. So Rastafarianism actually comes from different cultures. And now it's probably 700 to 1 million people that identify as Rastafarian across the world, right? And so that's where the weed comes from. And we're going to get into that, the history of the weed and the dreadlocks. It's the worship, or this is the oldest civilization that is recorded with doing this on record, but it's the worship of another god. They do this to worship their god. Black people are just following another people's culture when you put dreadlocks in your head. Point blank, period, right? You're following another people's culture. I don't care, how ethnic you think you are, or how natural you think you are, and how, you are blackity black and, Africanized. You're actually just following someone else's culture. Now, they say that the Kenyans did it. They also say that Egyptians had dreadlocks, but I don't see any evidence of that. right? Other than statues and these statues have braids. So we're going to get into the scriptures to prove that Samson didn't have dreadlocks, and we're also going to get into some history. All right, go ahead.
Amazed by its ability to ease pain and increase appetite, O'Shaughnessy brought the plant back to England in 1841.
Mhm.
For the next 39 years, medical professionals sang the praise of Indian hemp. For a brief period, farmers in India were not only allowed but encouraged to include marijuana in their annual crop production cycle, and selling vast quantities of the plant to England. Modern-day Pakistan and Trinidad became big businesses. The United Kingdom's colonial portfolio at the time also included Jamaica, whose people revolted against the use of slave labor in 1838, leading the empire to import workers from East India. They brought cannabis seeds with them.
So that's how they got there. They imported workers from East India that brought cannabis seeds to Jamaica. Go ahead.
And once they shared the resulting crops with the locals, it became an important part of the island's culture as well.
So once they shared this with the islands people, they started to grow it. Jamaicans started to grow it. Once the Indian immigrants shared the seeds, they started to grow that ganja in Jamaica.
Right.
Go ahead.
The Rastafarian religion that sprouted alongside the introduction of marijuana in the 20th century, Jamaica was actually not dissimilar from India.
So the way that Jamaicans worship, they the Rastafarian movement, it's really not that different from worshiping Shiva. You could drop that article, but this is not Jamaica that you see on the screen. This is East India, where they blowing big ganja with their dreadlocks and worship to their goddess Shiva. You understand? And worship right there on the right. That's Shiva, their goddess. Sometimes she depicted with a whole bunch of arms. And the Lord be jacking them up too. You know why? Because some of their kids be born like that. About 4 arms and 3 legs. Lord, I said, damn, the Lord be jacking them up. That's their God. I don't know if the Lord be mocking them or what he be doing. He be jacking them up, right? This is where this comes from. Now you may say I wash mine and I dye them and then, I get them retwisted and all of that. But this is not black culture. This is not our culture. Give me Jeremiah 10:2.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
The Lord said to learn not the way of the heathen. Anybody that is a non-Israelite, if you know your heritage and you know who you are, you know that anything outside of being an Israelite, that is a heathen. And so if you could prove to me, all you brothers and sisters that got dreadlocks, if you can prove to me that your heritage is not of being an Israelite, that you didn't come through the transatlantic slave trade, that your ancestors were not Gadites, they were not, Taino Indians, and they actually were East Indians. If you can prove that point, then hell, you're following your culture. But if you cannot prove that point, and if you are not, if in fact you are an Israelite, according to the Bible and biblical history, then you are following the ways of the heathen. Point blank. You're following the ways of another nation. I don't care how cool you think you are, how many compliments that you get, how many people says it looks good on you, whatever the case may be, you are not following your heritage. You are not following your culture, right? Let me see. We'll get the Nazarite vow. Hold on 1 second. This is something that they follow too. Give me Numbers. Let me see. They get this from the Nazarite vow also, not just Samson. Number 6 and 2. Yeah, let me hear what it say.
The book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the Lord. Verse 3, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink. He shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. Verse 4, all the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree.
So a Nazarite vow, Salaki, he would not drink wine or have grapes or vinegar or strong drink, nor eat moist grapes or dry grapes. Right? Keep going.
Verse 4, all the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. Verse 5, all the days of the vow of his separation.
This is where they get it from.
There shall no razor come upon his head.
No razor shall come upon his head, meaning he can't cut his hair. Go ahead.
Until the days be fulfilled, in which he separateth himself unto the Lord, he shall be holy. He shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow.
He shall let the locks of his of the hair of his head grow. Locks, you know, the word dreadlocks, I think it's a new word. It's a new term. So when it's talking about locks, it's not talking about dreadlocks. But the fact that he can't put a razor to his head, can't use, drink strong drink and all of those things. These are some of the things that the Rastafari incorporated into their belief system, right? Now, not being able to shave your head doesn't mean that you let it grow and you don't comb it,
right,
and let it turn into some goddamn dreadlocks. It's brothers in the I.S.U.P.K that don't shave their head, and their hair just grow and grow and grow, and they get it, rebraided, take it out, get it washed and clean and conditioned, get it rebraided again, and it just keeps growing and growing. Get it clipped and all of that, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Right? I'm not one of those brothers. I get my hair washed and all of that, but my hair don't grow like some of these brothers do. Some of these brothers' hair just sprout. You know what I mean? But that's a misconception of what this scripture is saying. And also, the Bible is against smoking. So the Rastafari, they smoke big weed. So something ain't adding up. But this is one of the precepts where they get the idea that you're supposed to grow dreadlocks. Now we're going to go into Samson and talk about that, and then we're going to break it down what it is actually saying when it comes to talk about locks. Go ahead.
So what is a Nazarite?
A Nazarite is a brother that would be separated, right? He will be dedicated to the Most High. So what we just read are things that he could not do. So these are vows. He's taking a vow, or you taking a vow when you have this child, that you dedicating this child to the Lord, and this child is going to be a man of the Lord. He's going to do everything of the Lord, a prophet, a seer, and that was just what it was. As you keep reading verse 6, it says that all the days that he separated himself unto the Lord, he shall come at no dead body, meaning he can't be near any dead body. So this brother is being holy, strictly holy, like a Levite priest down there. You know what I mean? So that's basically what it is. Let me see. There's so many things that we'll probably do this. We can go into this next week. Go into the Nazarite. Break that down. What else was I saying? Samson. So what do we want with Samson? Let's get give me what verse I want. it First Samuel's? Judges. Judges 16 and let me see, 16 and 12. We'll start there. We'll just see.
Thought you would go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and start.
The book of Judges, chapter 16, verse 12. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. Verse 13. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web.
What is that? What verse is that? 16?
That was verse 13.
Verse 13. So start at verse 13. That's what I want.
The book of Judges, chapter
Y'all listen closely. Go ahead.
The book of Judges, chapter 16, verse 13. And Delilah said unto Samson, hither thou hast mockest me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head.
He said, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head. Go ahead. Is that verse 13?
Come on.
You done with the whole verse 13? He said, if thou weavest the 7 locks of mine head, right? So, like, if you're growing dreadlocks and your hair is just matted, because what happens is you just don't comb it, and it just get matted and matted, kind of like this East Indian up here on the left. It just turned into a big brick. Look like a big brick of mold, right? You don't have no control of whether it's going to divide into 2 locks, 3, 4, or 7, right? It's not like it's a uniform thing where you're styling it. Of course, now black people today, they dye the tips of their dreadlocks or, twist the dreadlocks or whatever they do with them, but they're still dreadlocks. And so right here, what we just read is that he said 7. Read verse 13 again. Okay. So like it.
And Delilah said unto Samson, hither thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web.
If thou weavest, keyword, weavest. Do you weave dreadlocks? The 7 locks. This is what a lock is. A lock is just like a lock. Your hair is locking together when you get your hair braided and cornrows. So I'm going to go into the Blue Letter Bible, and I'm going to show you something. Let me get it. Let me pull it up so you can understand. So we can kill that thing of all of these fake Israelites that think that they can wear dreadlocks. We're going to kill that tonight. We're going to kill that. So here we are. Let me see if it's pulling up. So here we are right here. Okay. Now, this is the Blue Letter Bible. You can go and break down the Hebrew and the Greek, different words and phrases. It's a good tool to use. We also have one here in the school. It's a Strong's Concordance, does the same thing. It's a big, thick book. Let me go to Judges. We're going to get tools, right? Now we're going to look up the phrase just to get a better understanding. So if she says, he said unto her, if thou weavest, right here, I'm in the yellow. Let me pull it up a little higher. If thou weavest, that in the Strong Concordance, it would be H707. All right. Let me click on that. Give you it in the. Now, go down some. back where I was at. Now, this we're here, right? Gives you the word in the Hebrew, gives you an outline to weave cloth, to braid, to braid. Samson's here. You can't braid dreadlocks. You can't braid dreadlocks. It says a weaver, right? It also says in the primitive root to plait or to weave. Okay. So that is your definition. That is your breakdown. And that is your understanding that Samson did not have dreadlocks. He had corn rows.
Right.
He had braids. You weave braids like a basket. That's what you do. You weave braids. Samson had 7 locks. Those locks were 7 corn rows. You can do 7 straight backs, or you can do them 7 where they fall down all around like O-Dog. But you can get those 7 locks easily. What is she doing his hair for if he's got dreadlocks? This is practical common knowledge, common sense. Why would she be doing his hair? Anyway, she was plotting on him. She was sent as a, to plot on him anyway. You know what I mean? She was beautiful, and he fell for it. But what is she doing his hair for if, in fact, he wanted 7 locks? Dreadlocks are stuck how they are. They're going to be like, however they grow, you can't make more dreadlocks. But that doesn't even matter. I'm not going to even argue that. We broke it down completely to understand the scriptures. If his hair is getting woven or is weaving like a beam, because it also says that in the Strong's breakdown, it says like a beam, like how you would take that little machine in the ancient time and weave and make baskets and make blankets and carpets. Well, right here you have an image of a basket. That's why a basket looks. It's woven and intertwined. Each branch or brand is locking into each other. The same when you get your hair braided, the hair is being locked in. And then when you take it down, it's unlocked. A lock locks and unlocks. Dreadlocks do not unlock. You got to cut them bastards off. You got to cut them. Get rid of those dirty dreads. Get rid of them. If you call yourself an Israelite, if you're trying to learn your heritage, then understand that, first of all, what we went over tonight is that you are not a Hamite. Right. You are not African. You're not Nigerian. You're not Ethiopian. You're not none of those. You are the children of Israel.
Right.
You're God's chosen people. So you have a distinct culture. You just got to open up books and find out what was your culture. Well, the Bible is the greatest book to find out what was your culture. Right. What is the prophecies of your people, and what is the laws of your people. And it tells you, as we're reading, and this is in Samson, this is the story that they hang upon. Those 7 locks. This is why they got dreadlocks, the Rastafarians and all that. And we just found out that Samson was getting his hair cornrowed. He was getting braids. He was not getting dreadlocks. He wanted 7 locks when he laid down to get his hair done, and that's what he got. If he had already had, a pile of matted hair on his head, how in the hell would he was going to get 7 locks?
Right.
You understand? So what I just proved to you is that dreadlocks came through East India. East India imports into Jamaica not only brought their culture of worshiping Shiva, but they also brought marijuana seeds. And that's why you get high today. If you follow Rastafarianism, well, Rastafarianism don't even come from Jamaicans. It comes from East Indians. This is the image of the East Indians looking like Snoop Dogg while they worship their god Shiva. This is their god Shiva. Get an article if you could. Pull up who is Shiva. Pull up Wikipedia real quick. I mean, this is the history and law class, why don't we get some more history?
So you said Wikipedia?
Yeah, don't whatever pops up. Whatever pops up. Whatever pops up, we'll get it on what Shiva is. Look like I you know, I don't want the live to get took down, but Shiva kind of looking like a she low key. I don't know what's really going on, but I don't know. Go ahead.
This is Shiva from Wikipedia. Shiva is known as the destroyer within the Trimurti, the Hindu trinity, which also include Brahma and Vishnu. In the Shivite tradition, Shiva is the supreme lord who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. In the goddess-oriented Shakta tradition, the supreme goddess Devi is regarded as the energy and creator power, Shakti, and the equal complementary partner of Shiva. Shiva is one of the five equivalent deities in, like I cannot say that, Panchatyana Puja of the Smarta tradition of Hinduism.
So Hindus came to Jamaica, and you got Rastafarianism, Rastafari, right? And our people are like black people. We're we're really simple when you really think about it, because like we so easily follow things. We so easily follow, Rastafarianism, Pan Africanism. What's some other things that came up, throughout the years? What'd you say?
Muslim.
Islam. I mean, yeah, Islam. But a nigga go to jail and he come out, he a Muslim. But we're like the people that are so easily influenced. You can easily get us to follow something. What I see a lot is brothers and sisters just on this weird spiritualistic thing where they worship rocks and the moon, and they even got these things with divine femininity and divine masculinity, things that they worship. Here's the thing. Give me Hosea 4:6. Hosea 4:6. Here's the thing, though. We don't have an identity. So we are people that have been beat and pummeled and hit into the ground like a nail is being hit by a hammer. We have been beaten to the ground and we have been crushed to powder. Anything that comes along that seems cool, any trend that comes along that seems fun, any religion that comes along that seems different, we will follow, because we are like a clean slate. We are like we are like children. We are people that just want to be accepted. We are people that want to have some type of pride in something, because when we think about our history, we know that there's no pride in being a slave. And part of that is our fault, because we think that's all we were, and we don't search. And the saying is true. If you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. But more importantly, if you want to hide something from a nigga, convince him that it's not in this book.
Right.
When the whole history of niggas and a black God is in the Bible. The whole identity of black people from 6,000 years ago till today is explained in the Bible. And you can't find any train of thought, any discipline, any schooling, any education, anything that can explain why are we where we are at right now in 2023 and what has happened in our past, except the Bible.
Right.
Give me what you got.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
We are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You have Jamaicans that wholeheartedly live the Rastafarian lifestyle. You got black people that subscribe to it. Hell, that weed smoke is so strong. You got white people that'll put on that beanie and grow dreadlocks just to smoke all day.
Right.
You understand? It really is just a drug addict's religion that you're following.
Right.
That's all you're following it. And that reminds me, let me pull this up real quick because I had this chart. So like it. Let's see. Pull this up. For weed smokers. This is for all weed smokers. Rastafari and all the rest of you. Right? Let's see. Now, here we go. Now, these are the drugs that people get hooked on. This is for all you weed smokers and you Rastafarians. Everybody that, thinks that you're escaping reality. You are escaping, but this is what you're going to be surprised by this data. Now, I was just searching, statistics on drugs. What I came across is this study that is dated from 1999 to 2013. The article I was reading was 2016. So we're talking about 7 years ago that this came out. So let's just assume that things are much worse. Drugs people get hooked on. So when you look at the blue, that's the general population who had ever used drugs. Then the orange is the general population who ever became addicted. Now, this is funny. This is actually laughable. And then we said this, I think this was about 3 months ago at camp. We were talking about drug usage, marijuana usage. And the thing is that you always, especially when I was growing up, a lot of our mothers and fathers was on crack cocaine. And it was not it wasn't a good feeling. They even had a song that came out. It was called Your Mama on Crack Rock. And it was a song. And and black people shamed the hell out of other black people that did drugs. We shamed the hell out of other black people that did drugs. Right? And now when you look at these statistics, I want you to pay attention to something. Marijuana is 4.1% of people who get hooked on it. They get hooked on it. But guess what's under marijuana? Cocaine, anti-anxiety drugs, and heroin. These are considered hard drugs, level 4 drugs. And people get addicted to marijuana at a higher rate than cocaine. So guess what? In 2023, black people, Hispanic and Native Indian people, if you are hooked on marijuana, you, in essence, are the new crackheads. You are the crackheads of the millennium. What they call that generation today?
Millennials, Gen Z.
You are, what'd you say, millennials and what?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. You millennials and you Gen Zs, you are the new crackheads. You're not smoking crack. You're smoking marijuana. You're smoking weed. And guess what? They're also lacing marijuana with small traces of fentanyl. So you are the new and improved crackhead. But there's hope. The hope is that you come into this truth. The hope is that you learn who you are and you learn that it's bad to put any smoke in your lungs. Like, universal practical knowledge should be common sense that heated smoke doesn't belong in your lungs. Smoke doesn't belong in your lungs. If you're out in a fire and it's on fire in the forest and it's smoking, it's going to hurt your lungs. Well, weed heads smoke the bomb, the Captain Kryptonite, I'm smoking on some Rocket NASA. I'm smoking on the greatest. This is Taliban dust. Whatever the hell you smoking, we look for the stuff that's going to make you cough a lung out like you're stuck in a fire. That's an addiction. That's an addiction. That I don't know why people don't look at it as an addiction. Like, I smoked weed for damn near 15 years of my life. And I can honestly tell you that you can be addicted to weed. You know what I'm saying? You can, be that one. But we see on those statistics, it's a lot of y'all out there. And y'all worse than the original crackheads. Y'all the new and improved crackhead. But listen, man, common sense tells you that drugs, putting something in your lungs wasn't designed for that. That's universal practical knowledge right there.
Right.
Your lungs wasn't designed to be inhaling smoke, recreational use, having a head change. And let's be honest, there's a million plants that the Lord created. You can probably burn all of them and smoke them and get some type of head change, but smoking ain't supposed to be in your lungs. And so maybe there's a dysfunction, or maybe there's something you're running from, or maybe there's something that is haunting you, or maybe you feel you have too much anxiety, and maybe that's just the reason why you smoke. With that, I'm going to end the class. Let's clap it up. Hey, the water for all of y'all rocking with me. I'm Priest and Officer Tawaga Bar. I got the young man Avant, whose name is coming up. I hear a name coming up. Young man Avant up in here. We rocked it out. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate brothers and sisters. Make sure you pay your tithes. Make sure you get in all the classes and fight. Just keep fighting. Keep fighting. We never know the day, but we know it's right around the corner that our King, Christ, will return. With that, I'm up out of here. Shalom, Israel.